the state to speak to us. Thank you very much. So we can give him a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, let's take our seats. Asante sana. I think the Honorable Mbadi has earned the title FCPA. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am delighted to join the capital market stakeholders at this landmark launch of the Safari Ziidi Trader, a moment that marks a historic leap forward into our quest to liberalize financial services, deepen inclusion, and empower citizens through technology, investment, savings, and wealth creation. This platform represents a decisive turning point in how citizens engage with the stock exchange. It opens the doors of market participation wider than ever before, dismantling long-standing barriers that have looked and locked out many willing investors and bringing opportunities closer to all citizens. I agree with the statement that has been made by my friend Dilip, that wealth creation should not be a preserve for the few. It must be an opportunity expanded enough for all to participate. And maybe I will assist Dilip to tell him that it is not Ziidi, it is Ziidi. If Kipto was here, he would have said Ziidi. Through the seamless integration of stock trading into the M-Pesa platform, millions of Kenyans, especially our young people and women, will gain simple, affordable, and convenient access to investments in shares, in bonds, and other products listed on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, placing the tools of ownership and growth directly into their hands. You know, standing here today, when I had a conversation in these capital markets in 2023, I did ask the Nairobi Securities Exchange and the capital markets fraternity, including our friend Safaricom, that it is important for us to democratize these capital markets and demystify the purchasing of shares. For a very long time, it looked a very complicated process. CDS account, brokers in between, and everything along the journey. And I did ask that it is important for us to find a mechanism where citizens, from the comfort of their phones, they can be able to buy shares and trade at the capital markets. Today is that day. I am very happy. You know, you have helped me in many ways. I remember when talking to citizens, especially in northern part of Kenya and in Korea and many other areas where we had serious challenges of stock theft. I remember telling these citizens, you know, do not confuse stock theft with stock exchange. They are very different. While you are engaged in stock theft, there are people engaged in the stock exchange, trading and buying shares and creating wealth. But along the way, I asked myself, so how is this person going to stop stock theft and participate in the stock exchange if there are no mechanisms for him to do that. Today, I can confidently say that those people engaged in stock theft have no excuse. They can now participate in the stock exchange because this Ziidi trader provides them the mechanism and the opportunity to participate. When we talked about bottom-up and getting people who for a very long time have been excluded to participate, whether it is in our health ecosystem, whether it is in our housing ecosystem, today there is a pathway for my friends, the mama mbogas and the border guys, to own a home. There is a pathway for them to access health. And today, they have a pathway to buy shares from the comfort of their places in the market, from the comfort of sitting on their motorbike with their phone. Today, with the Ziidi trader, they can buy shares. They can trade at the Nairobi Stock Exchange. And that is why I am very, very proud of this moment. When I was asked that technology has assisted us, the confluence of ideas and the synergy that has been built between the leadership of the Capital Markets Authority, Nairobi Securities Exchange, and technology providers like Safaricom, I could not wait for this moment. Today also marks the 5th time I am gracing an event at the Nairobi Stock Exchange in the last 3 years. This is not by accident. It is not because I don't have anything to do. I am not loitering around here. It is because I believe in the capital markets. And I believe in the potential of the capital markets to work with the public sector to unlock the potential of this great nation. It reflects my firm conviction and that of the government of Kenya that financial markets are a foundational pillar of any modern economy. It is in recognition of this central role that we have placed deliberate and strategic focus on strengthening our financial markets through targeted reforms. Central to this reform agenda is the adoption of structured privatization program to develop a robust pipeline of enterprises that can benefit from private sector participation and public listing. For nearly 2 decades, Kenya has not undertaken a major privatization following the listing of Safaricom PLC in June 2008. Over that period, many of our regional and global peers have moved decisively, using privatization to deepen capital markets, broaden citizen ownership of national assets, and accelerate economic growth. The absence of similar initiatives has constrained market depth and liquidity, exposing Kenya to the risk of falling behind at a time when scale, diversification, and investor confidence are increasingly decisive. It is within this context that the ongoing privatization of the Kenya Pipeline Company should be understood. It is a deliberate and carefully sequenced policy decision guided by global best practice and designed to build on the reforms already underway. When I speak about the transformation that the capital markets has gone through, it is exactly what the numbers speak. I have insisted that we must hold leaders to their track record. And a track record speaks for itself. The track record of this Nairobi Stock Exchange is clear. And I want to thank Kiprono and team here at the Nairobi Securities Exchange and our friends at the capital markets. 3 years ago, market capitalization here was 1.2 trillion. Today, it is beyond 3 trillion. This exchange was rated the best in Africa in 2024 and the second best in 2025. This exchange had 75%, sometimes 80% foreign investors. Today, it is almost 50-50. Meaning, not just foreign investors have confidence in our stock exchange. Even local investors, they now believe that the reforms that we have undertaken, the status of the economy, when we say that inflation has come down from 9.6 to 4.7 and 4.5 and 4.4, it is reflected in the capital markets. The stability of the economy, the stability of our foreign exchange is reflected in the stock exchange. Our inflation and all the other numbers, including our exchange rate, is reflected in the confidence that not just foreign investors, but also local investors have in our economy. And that is why they are investing in this exchange. And that is why market capitalization is now upwards of 3 trillion and growing. And so I want to congratulate the stock exchange. You have kept a wonderful track record. And we have been your partners in making sure that we guard this economy from shocks that arise from either indecision in government or procrastination of decisions in government. And I want to commit that we are going to work together going into the future. We are not yet through with the reforms that will assist these capital markets to get to its optimal potential. There are some interventions that we will be discussing with the capital markets. John and his team at Treasury will go through the motions so that we can finally get every Kenyan to come on board and participate in the economy of our country. These reforms, ladies and gentlemen, are directly linked to our broader national development priorities. As you are aware, we have set ourselves an ambitious 10-year transformation agenda that includes the dualing of 2,500 kilometers of highways, tarmacking an additional 28,000 kilometers of road, increasing installed energy capacity from 3,300 megawatts at the moment to 10,000 megawatts, and constructing 50 new mega dams, 200 mini dams, and 1,000 macro dams in our effort to bring on board 2.5 million acres under irrigation for us to underwrite our food security and to make sure that we have all the infrastructure that is required for us to lift our country to a first world status. I was in the city of Nairobi on Sunday, and one of the biggest challenges we have in this city is water. We have, in the last 3 years, added an additional 140 million liters of water into Nairobi. But that is not enough. People in Southlands still pay 10 times more for water than people in Karen and Lavington. You know? We need to build Maragua 4 Dam so that we can have enough water in this city. It is one of the 50 mega dams that we have listed as the ones for investment as we build infrastructure for the development of our country. Delivering this scale of transformation requires mobilizing close to 5 trillion, and we intend to achieve this without imposing additional burden on taxpayers or accumulating debt. That is precisely where our capital markets and platforms such as the Nairobi Securities Exchange become central to the solution. Through the structured divestiture of strategic national assets, we will unlock long-term development capital. These resources, channeled through the Nairobi Infrastructure Fund and the Sovereign Wealth Fund, will crowd in private sector investment and finance national priorities while safeguarding intergenerational equity as required by the Constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, what we are undertaking is not an untested experiment. Many successful economies have followed in this path, deliberately leveraging privatization, capital markets, and institutional reforms to transform their stock exchanges into powerful catalysts for investment and growth. By listing strategic state-owned enterprises, they strengthen capital market depth and liquidity, attract global capital, and elevate their markets from frontier to emerging and ultimately developed status. We remain committed to working with all stakeholders to build markets that are deep, that are efficient, and accessible, markets capable of financing innovation, empowering enterprise, and advancing national priorities. And in this space, we will shortly be looking at what other incentives can we put in place for private companies to also list in the exchange 10%, 20%, 30%, so that we can democratize wealth in the country, and we can also reduce burdens of borrowing. Private sector companies instead going to borrow from banks because they have sufficient infrastructure and they can measure up to all the requirements of the exchange, should be able to come to the exchange to get capital for expansion, for whatever interventions they need, so that we can allow debt to go to more deserving cases. And therefore, this morning is a very proud moment for me that finally, ordinary people can buy 1 share. They can buy 5 shares. You don't have to look for a CDS account. You don't have to know any broker. You don't have to walk to any place. They don't even have to come to the exchange. They can trade from the comfort of their homes, using their phones, and they can contribute to national development. You know, how proud is it going to be that somebody in the far-flung part of our nation can buy the IPO of Kenya Pipeline? I'm informed by Dilip that by Friday, and it had better be Friday, Dilip, by Friday, Kenyans, from the comfort of their phones, they can buy the Kenya Pipeline IPO from wherever they will be on their phone this Friday. Please make it happen so that we can bring on board more Kenyans to own the best of the assets that we have as a nation and to also contribute to national development, so that, as somebody said, many Kenyans do not become bystanders and observers, that they too become part of the ecosystem of growing our economy. At the moment, I am informed that we have only close about 200,000 people trading. Just imagine, in a population of close to 60 million, only 200,000 can access the markets because of the market structure. Today, I hope we open the doors for millions to now come into this space and participate and create wealth and own something, be owners of capital, of property, of assets, of shares in companies in a very structured manner. I am pleased to note that over the past 2 years, driven by deliberate government reforms, the NSE has recorded one of its strongest performance in more than a decade. Last year alone, total market capitalization expanded by approximately 48%, rising from 1.9 trillion to above 3 trillion, as I said earlier. This impressive performance reflects improving macroeconomic fundamentals, including lower interest rates, a more stable currency environment, stronger growth prospects, and better coordination between fiscal and monetary policy. More importantly, it signals renewed investor confidence in the long-term direction of Kenya's economy. Let me conclude by congratulating Safaricom on this important market-shaping milestone. I also thank all stakeholders here today for their continued dedication to building a vibrant and inclusive capital markets ecosystem. And you have my 100% support and that of this administration as we consolidate our country and make as many Kenyans as possible stakeholders and participants. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor and privilege to officially launch the Safaricom Ziidi Trader. Thank you very much and congratulations.
Another round of applause for His Excellency. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And the highlight of, let's take our seats kindly. Let's take